Alright, so what we got going on is we're waiting for the clutch discs, or the friction plates or disc, whatever you want to call them. Waiting for them to come up, and if it works out, as in if I actually get them, you know, sometimes when you go order parts, it may show in their inventory that they have them. Anyways, but we'll does that out in the next video when we come put everything together. I will provide where I got those discs and stuff like that. It's getting a little harder to find parts for these, so and they're expensive. I think they were about well, the ones I actually eventually found were like $27. That's not bad, but to get them straight from the Bobcat factory, which you still can get those from there, they're right around 80. So I don't know how they come up with that price, but anyhow, that's where we're at. So among other things we're doing to this thing is we are doing a tune-up on this. We're changing the plugs and the points and condensers, and I'll go through that because I'm waiting for those parts still yet too. So they're pretty worn out. We got new distributor cap and new rotor, so we'll go through on how to change all that. But what I wanted to include in this video, some people come in my shop and they ask me, why do I use these old school drop lights? Because if you put them back here, they give a really nice wide pattern rather than LEDs kind of seem like they go in a direct spot. You know, you can stick these in some places and it just, you know, gives a nice wide light. If you get these LED style light bulbs that screw in here, that way when these things were always the shits when they would be nice and warm and sit there, and then they fall off as soon as they hit the ground. It'd burn your bulb out. But with those LEDs, it doesn't seem to be a problem. But yeah, I like them things. So yeah, but when you get this, when you get the spark plugs out of here, you know, they got these rings like this that, you know, that need to be in there to direct the, you know, because you got air coming in here and blowing across here, hence the air cooled. While you have these plugs off of here, you should take the time to take this cover off of here and make sure that there's no dirt and stuff that have gotten in through up here and it's worked its way down in here, because that's probably what we're gonna find. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off of there and show you. Okay, so it's just, you know, a few screws. There's 3 right down here on the bottom, 1 up here holds it in the spark plug wires, and 1 over there. And it just comes down, and oh, isn't that lovely? Yeah, you want to get all this stuff cleaned out of here, because it's just the same thing as having a plugged up radiator. So what I'm going to do is pop these old spark plugs back in there, so when I blow this off with air and all that other good stuff, you just don't get anything down in the cylinder. Not that it would hurt this engine. You can throw all this shit in this engine, this damn thing it'll still run. But you know, you got more fins and stuff down here. These don't usually get, you know, filthy, but everything here, you know, kind of does. And critters and mice like to build nests and stuff in here, but you know, down in there you might be able to barely see the fins for the fan. There they are right there, and look like there's even some more, you know, dirt and whatever else pulled in there. But that's where your air comes in, and it comes in through here and blows across the engine. So you got those 2 spark plugs on that side, and we got those 2 on this side. So I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side, and I'll pull them plugs out. You know, you can't get these covers off without taking this little disc off of here, which obviously comes off after you take the spark plug off. Not bad when you know the right order. So that's what we're doing right now. And so all the rest. I think this video's part 3. Yeah, it's part 3. So just doing it in short increments like this, it's a lot easier. And you know, maybe that there's some repairs that you're looking at doing on here, you know, especially going through the setting the points and stuff. We're going to do that in the next video, part 4, when I get those parts. And then we also, yeah, the oil filter screws on right here, and actually I should have the old one screwed back on here while I'm not. It's a Napa filter 1106. 1106 is the number, but they didn't have it, so they had to order that in. Nobody stocks anything anymore, but I don't expect them to stock, you know, points and condensers and, you know, stuff for this engine. I mean, these are old, but there were so many of them made. You know, like I said, I've seen them on wood splitters, balers, like, you know, some farm equipment. I've seen them as built into as a generator. I've seen it built into as a water pump, and many other. I could probably think of a few other things. There are a lot of them out there, and they're pretty reliable, pretty simple engines. We got a fuel filter right here we're changing. Still trying to, I haven't even really looked that hard, but trying to get a, you know, fuel pump's acting like it's kind of weak sometimes. It gets kind of a vapor lock situation, especially if it's been running and you shut it off, and then, you know, after it's warm and then you go try to restart it again in 5 minutes, it has a hard time starting, and sometimes it could be a vapor lock. So you might have a weak fuel pump. It's not pushing that fuel through good enough. So anyways, you know, carburetor's back there. We're not going to do anything with it other than clean it. And then up top here, we got a new air filter. No surprise, I had to order that. So, you know, goes right in that housing there. The other thing we're doing is we had a broken stud on here, and all these do is they just press out of here. You know, take a air hammer or a big hammer, pound them out of there, and then getting them back in. You'll just kind of, you know, start them in here. I don't have the old ones. It's not here. You'll start it in here, tap it in there as much as you can, but it'll suck in when you tighten the wheel down. So you'll want to look back there as best you can to make sure that it does. So, and we got that cover off, goes right around here, and we changed the hydraulic filter. Takes an 1 5/16 socket, and you just start turning it, and really that part, the base of it, the main base of it, kind of stays stationary for the most part. And turn that, it comes off. It's canister style filter, they call it. That's what it looks like right there. It'll have a couple of rubber seals in here, and it doesn't matter which way it goes. Actually, this is all coming apart. I'm just curious. This thing is filthy. Never seen one that bad. Could be wide. That, and between the milky oil and that plugged up filters, a lot of the slow hydraulic issues this thing has. I got that filter from Napa, 1567. Yeah, like I said, we are moving right along and clean the battery terminals and check that battery, but the battery's been holding up all right for them. But clean the battery terminals is just something I always do, part of any project that I have working on. The one other thing we got, isn't this lovely? So normally, you know, you can probably you can find these easy enough, but I'm just gonna take it off and just weld it all around again. Weld that part and then just do a nice little spot weld up on top. It's really not that loud. It's just that this bouncing around is no good, but you know, spring in a washer, and it's pointing at these two seals right here. Other seal right there. That all goes inside that canister, and then there's another seal goes on that right there, which is this is what has that hex head on there. You can't really see it in this picture, but that's got the hex head on there. Thought I'd just show that, you know, obviously like that. Just shows you how cool it is to have a book like this when you're doing projects. Another air filter breakdown. You know, I mean, I do this for a living, but you know, I always need, I don't know everything, so it really is nice to have these service manuals. Okay, so what I was wanting to get to was this information in the general service of this manual for this thing. Distributor maintenance. Distributor break or gap point should be point 0182 to 22 thousandths. Firing order is 1342, and it shows you, you know, how to do it. And we'll go through this. I'll walk through this in the next part of the video. I think this is actually, I might have screwed up. I think this is part 4, and we're going to go into part 5. But what I was wanting to get to is the spark plug gap, because that's what I was alluding to. You know, I'm not going to show that, but spark plug gap should be 30 thousandths. You know, so just showing you to check the gap in there, 30 thousandths. But like I said, it's why it's cool to have this this type of manual. Like I said, that's where I got it from, Gen Sales. That's their part number on there. But it's been awesome having this over the years. You know, because as a repeat customer, getting this machine back in the shop to do various things to it over the years, you know, that's where this is awesome. Just another page gives you all the breakdown of all the electrical and just about where they sit in the machine. So pretty awesome. Like this would be the back of the machine right here, and this over here would be more towards the front. Seat sits right over the battery. So yeah, I just thought I'd show that. But anyways, yeah, stay tuned for part 5 is the next video, doing the points and getting all that. You know, I think that video will just be the points, because that's probably an area that a lot of people aren't as familiar with, because you know, that's a thing of the past, big time. I mean, vehicles in the 80s didn't even have points, so been gone for a long time. But this this thing, probably, I said in my very first video that I thought it was 80s, but I'm more thinking that this is actually 70s. And still trying to learn and do, you know, because doing research on these things, you know, this has the M-610, but in a lot of their books and stuff, and I went to a couple of local Bobcat dealers and stuff, there's also just the 610. And it's hard to tell, but there's probably people that know more about this that may have worked on these things in the past. But that M's got something to do with the Melrose Bobcat part of this, and I don't know, maybe, you know, because like I said, this is Melrose Bobcat. That's the original sales sticker on there, but you know, there's Clark equipment. So like I said, I'm not very knowledgeable on what all this stuff had to do with it back in the day, you know, because that was, you know, 40 some odd years ago, a little bit before my time. But yeah, stay tuned for part 5. We'll probably part 6 is by the time we'll get back to installing these steering clutches on here, putting the chain and all that stuff back on. Yeah, the chain's just hanging there. But slowly but surely, this thing is not going to look brand new, but she's going to run and operate pretty damn good by the time we're done. So stay tuned for part 5 and 6 and probably 7 by the time we get it all done.